I started off this morning with a very whimsical idea of trying to see how many different patterns I could wear at one time. I won't show you my underwear. I find these hearings to be somewhat bittersweet. They're sweet in that you get an opportunity to express how you feel about things. They're bitter in that sometimes I think we totally forget the context in which we live and how great this city really is. I mean, we deal all the time with issues that were created 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago in conditions that have absolutely no relationship to current day reality. You know, it's easy to talk about doing a lot of stuff when money is flowing like water, the economy is burning hot, and then those poor souls who are there when things start going downhill have to make the tough decisions. So I'm not going to be critical of what people did before, because I wasn't there and I don't know exactly what the current circumstances were. And I would hope that in 15 years, when we're sitting here in this tough economic time making hard decisions, that somebody sitting down in the council or wherever in the mayor's office then isn't sitting talking about what we did and didn't do, because they have absolutely no idea of the conditions in which we were working. The reality is simply this. This city is in substantially better shape than 80% of the cities in this country. We talk about pensions. We haven't gone to a totally defined contribution plan like some cities. We haven't cut pensions. We haven't laid people off. We haven't basically given up our police department because we don't have the money for pensions, or cut our fire department in half because we don't have the money for pension. And the reason that we haven't done that is because there are people in this city government, our finance manager Randy back there and Troy Schulte over here, who have worked their tails off to keep this thing solvent. But the reality is that the pension promises that were made and that we're currently living with were made decades ago in a totally different circumstance, and now the world economy has changed. Things are different. We have to make the adjustments. And we're not making the adjustments that are going to affect the current people under the pension system. We're making adjustments going forward so that we will make sure that we always have enough money to pay the pensions of the people in this city. That's just the reality. And I think sometimes we beat ourselves up a little bit, when what we really should be doing is thanking the people who have kept us from going off the deep end, like Atlanta. Boy, you talk about a fight. They just said one day, boom, no more defined benefit plan, we're defined contribution. And it was hell. And it's happening all over the city, not all over the country, not here. Another thing. Nobody here has any desire to negatively affect transit. Just the opposite. We're working hard to try to catch up for the decisions that were made 20, 30 years ago, where we're now trying to catch up. That's just the reality of the situation. Other cities have rail transit of either streetcar or light rail or combinations of both. They're expanding theirs. We're trying to start ours. That's all. That doesn't mean that one has to suffer at the expense of the other. It just doesn't have to be that way. I'm not a person who takes bus transit lightly. Until I came back to Kansas City after law school, I didn't own a car. I caught the bus at Rockhurst College, then, now university, rode the bus to 39th Street, went from 39th Street over to Rainbow Boulevard, got off and walked down to Rainbow Mental Health Center to start my shift at 11 p.m. at Rainbow Mental Health Center, did the exact reverse at 7 a.m. to go back to school. I rode buses in Minneapolis when I was up there. By the way, they now have light rail and streetcar. And it took me an hour and a half to get from my house in my apartment in Minneapolis to the airport when I needed to go somewhere. So we understand, I think, the need for transit in this city. It is absolutely essential to make sure that we get people from homes to jobs and back as efficiently and effectively as possible. NTDF, do you really want the council to come and tell you about everything that they want to spend on your things? Now, be careful what you ask for. I'm just telling you. You might check that out and find out why that happened, and I'm sure Troy will be happy to explain it to you. But if you really want the council to get involved in every decision you're making, you might be getting a little more than you want. Budget. We look